Good morning, everyone. I wanted to create one more video. This is from the homework. Up till now, everything we've been doing with Statcrunch is with summary statistics. But sometimes you could be asked a problem where they just give you the data and ask you to construct your confidence interval from there. And so in homework problem 11 from my stat lab, that's what happens. So this video is going to demonstrate a solution path to homework question 11 using Statcrunch with data. So here's a screen capture of the problem from my own assignment. And this is problem number 11 you see right here. The state test scores for 12 randomly selected high school seniors are shown on the right. Complete parts A through C below. Assume the population is normally distributed. One thing to be thinking about here is, do you see a population standard deviation given in that problem? So think about that, and that'll be the decision that we're going to make shortly. So here's the beautiful thing about working is we don't have to type all these data values in. This button right here, and I'm going to show you in just a minute, will load the data for us. Now this question, it does ask us to provide the sample mean and the sample standard deviation. We can use summary stats, if you think back to our chapter 2 on descriptive statistics, to calculate those two numbers. But since we have the data, we don't need to type these back in to be able to calculate to finish this problem. So the question starts, we're going to find the mean and the standard deviation and then construct the confidence interval. And recall, we can identify the mean and standard deviation using the summary stats function. So I did that here, and I'm going to walk you through the steps on Statcrunch in just a minute. And sure enough, there's my mean right here, 911, rounded to one place is 911.3. And there's my standard deviation of 303.2, which we see here and here. And I'm going to go ahead and go through the screens here and then go do the whole thing in Statcrunch. So after this, we examine the given information for the population standard deviation. Since it's not given, we know we're going to use the Statcrunch tstat function, which we can do with the data. We could enter the mean and the standard deviation we have already identified using the summary stat function. However, this could lead to a less precise answer due to rounding. Since we can work with t-stats with the data, rounding issues are avoided. Statcrunch will perform the calculation without rounding until the end of the problem, providing more precision. So here's the final output for this, and you notice I have a one sample t. I picked the column where the data was, and I wanted a 90% confidence interval and click compute, and this is what I received, 754.1, 1068.4. Let's go back for a moment, and you see that is part C right here. So let's go ahead and open this problem in Statcrunch and let's walk through it together. So I have the question right here. Guess they're trying to kick me out. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click this little icon here to copy the table, and I'm going to open it in Statcrunch. And there you see my data. Well, of course, they did ask me to find the mean and the standard deviation. I'm still going to do that with summary statistics columns. We've been doing this since the beginning of the semester. Click compute, and there is the mean and standard deviation. So that's part A and B. Now, like I said, I could type this information into Statcrunch, but what do I know? I know that I don't have a population standard deviation, so I'm going to go to tstats, one sample, but this time I'm going to go with data. And notice the screen that I get. And again, I want to look at the data in column 1, and I know the question asks for a 90% confidence interval. I'm going to change this down here. Remember, we're going to be using z-stats and t-stats in the next section on hypothesis testing. But when I click compute, and there is my lower limit and my upper limit. So I hope you'll find this helpful. This will be the last of the videos I'm doing that have to do with using Z or T stats. What I'm going to go to next is working with confidence intervals around a proportion, and that'll be the next video. And then we're going to talk about minimum sample sizes, and we'll be finished with this chapter. I want y'all to get the homework done to be able to test by Tuesday of next week, and we'll talk about that more later. Again, I hope you find this helpful.